Thank you. We'll now recognize Mr. Norcross from New Jersey for 5 minutes.
Thank you. I want to start out by saying we live in the greatest country in the world. We live in a democracy, which we have elections, whether they're for members of Congress or for their representatives as their union voices. But I do want to take a moment of personal privilege to thank the chairman. He and I agree on little, if anything, but I do want to thank him for his public service and wish him well in any future endeavors that are coming out. We really, we need more public servants, but we appreciate what you've done and wish you well. Start out by saying we're in due process. I heard stories. What is going on in this country with anti-Semitism is horrific in any form. We heard many of our hearings what is going on college campuses, and I couldn't agree more. But we live in a country that's democracy, and unfortunately, many of those views are something that I personally disagree with, as many of us. But in this country, and to quote our friend from the Institute, Mr. Tanbaum, we did not choose and we do not want many of our elected officials. Some might even be in this room. And we are forced to fund them, whether it's a union or our government. But the idea or suggestion that because of a few bad actors, which we make no excuses for, are being anti-Semitic and smearing the entire representatives of workers, I think, is no different calling unions anti-Semites. You could call Republicans racist. You could call Democrats socialists. But it doesn't make it true. But if we look back in our history, we certainly did have racists that served in this House. But the idea that somehow this is breaking out. I'm sorry, did you say something? You looking to yield time from me, Chairman?
You finished with your time?
No, you were
proceed.
Talking. I thought you were wanting me to yield some time.
I thought maybe you were talking about the Southern Democrats and the KKK.
I claim back my time. Thank you.
About?
You're done in more than one way. So the idea of what we're doing each and every day is how democracies work. So my question goes back to whether they have votes on authorizing strikes, ratifying contracts, union leadership, the votes that go on each and every day. This is not a top-down, this is a bottom-up. This is something that we believe in our nation and certainly in the unions. Dr. LaFalso, can you talk to us a little bit more detail of what you started to talk about, where those rights of a union member, when it comes to dues, when it comes to the votes on where that union comes together. But at the end of the day, they have a vote, whether they agree with it or they don't, just like we do in this country when we have votes. Could you expand on some of those issues, particularly right-to-work states versus non-right-to-work states?
Okay, so first of all, no worker can be compelled to join a union in any state. In right-to-work states, they also cannot be compelled to pay their dues. I think that we agree on that. In non-right-to-work states or fair share states, the only thing that union-represented employees have to pay are their agency fees, which is, as Mr. Taubman pointed out, they are reduced fees because the Supreme Court has stated very clearly that unions cannot force anyone to pay for their political activities or non-representative activities. So there is a big difference in right-to-work states and not right-to-work states. Also, with respect to a national right-to-work law, there already is a solution for that too, which is to lobby. States can do that. Every state can do that if they want, and it would have the same effect. West Virginia was one of the most democratic states until recently. It was not right to work, and now it is recently right to work.
So,
sorry.
No, we understand. So the idea that they do have a choice, they are represented by agency fees, we understand all that. But the idea of having a hearing, one of only maybe a dozen a year, making this your highest priority. I have yet to have, and I live in a very Jewish area, one person come up to me and talk to me about unions being anti-Semitic. But this goes to the case of what we're dealing here.
Gentleman's
Thank
time
you
has
for
expired.
giving me
Thank you,
those
sir.
additional 10 seconds,
Thank you,
Mr.
sir. All
Chairman.
right, we'll
I really
now
appreciate
recognize
it. You
Mr.
have a good
Wahlberg
day.
from Michigan again for 5 minutes. Thank you.